at BuzzFeed, at Cheddar, at ClickUp. Like that is the key to success. It's great people. So it's not like running a Super Bowl ad or creating an event, but it's the team and the framework and the organizational structure and group that you pair together that can do these things and the unique skill sets that they all bring to the table. So I think that's the best skill set you can have as a leader.
This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed by Penji podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you in your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's Partnership Coordinator, and I'm joined here with a very special guest, Melissa Rosenthal from ClickUp. In today's episode, Melissa and I chat about dream teams, wholesome dreams, and how to become a marketing success from a very young age. Spoiler alert, it takes a lot of ambition and a lot of positivity, even when things don't work out as expected. I hope you enjoy the show. I had just told Melissa before this call that I'm very excited to have her on today. Thank you so much for coming on. I did not know the repertoire of the positions that you've been in and even other companies. I just knew about ClickUp and how amazing you've done there, but you were the key contributor to BuzzFeed's advertising model during a time where their YouTube channel was what everyone my age was watching. And I was just wondering, was the incredible growth of this brand something that you expected from the beginning when you started?
Thank you for having me, first of all. One of the things I'm excited to be here. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone did. So I guess a little bit of background. I actually started there as an intern right out of college. And the reason I went there as an intern was because I was graduating and I was starting to interview at a lot of companies, a lot of old school legacy media companies like Condé Nast and Plachette Apache. And what I was just seeing was so archaic and antiquated in the way that they were viewing media and media distribution. And I wanted something that felt exciting and on the cusp of innovation and disruption. And I started looking to the things that I was actually really excited about at the time. One of those platform was MySpace, right? That we were in the era of MySpace, and the other was BuzzFeed. And I was using BuzzFeed every day as a contributor. And what I really loved about the platform was that as a community member, you could go on and create content yourself, which I did 10 times a day. And you could see where that content would actually go viral and trend. So effectively, you could see your piece of content and how many views you got on BuzzFeed.com versus how many views you got when it was picked up on Gawker or StumbleUpon or any other website. This new metric that they were calling viral lift, and the way that they were able to engage their community members was just so far from this weird linear distribution model that all these other companies were still focusing on. And I was like, this is the future. I don't know what the future actually looks like in it formalized, but this is definitely on the cusp of something that I believe is deeply the future of what digital media will look like. So I joined as an intern, and I fell in love with the startup mentality, the hunger of the company and the people that work there, and the risk and the willingness to experiment. That was very early stages, and we definitely didn't expect it to blow up and to be a household brand the way that it did, but we knew that we were on the cusp of something very exciting.
What do you think contributed to the success of the company the most?
I think it had all of the right makings of a successful startup. It had a founder that had experience in his personal brand of virality. Jonah, he had done a bunch of viral stunts, and then he hyper-focused on figuring out how to create a business out of that. And he was also had been in media at Huffington Post and co-founded that. So had the right background to lead this, and was also just this kind of creative visionary, which is exactly like what this company needed. And at the same time, we hired like the hungriest people that were just so obsessed with the idea of virality and what that looked like. And we spend hours at the office, work till 3 a.m. writing content to see if it went viral. And it just had that like mentality of a culture that will succeed if we just try millions of different things enough, right? And I think that's like what success is. It's just not giving up and trying and failing. And eventually we were able to crack the code, and the tech side of things in terms of social platforms being the main distribution tools for content started to actually pay off. So it's two sides of like your tech bets and things like working for you on that side, and then also on the content side, starting to be able to build blueprints and frameworks that were replicable in the way that we understood how to actually make things go viral. It's a mix of a lot of things, but I think it's both like the hunger to want it, the culture, and then a couple of things working in your favor.
The testing model and trying a bunch of new things and continuously not stopping it, I think had to contribute so much, because I just remember the sheer amount of things that BuzzFeed did during that time, and how exciting it was, especially to people my age at that time. Like for teenagers, that was something else. Like the platform BuzzFeed. I remember the quizzes. Like the quizzes were the biggest thing. People still talk about them today. It was that framework of also like experimentation within formats that I think allowed us to keep leapfrogging. Like when we got stagnant with something, which wasn't stagnation, it was more just we can't get comfortable. We moved on to the next format. We moved on to the next things. Like let's try quizzes. Let's try this. There are also like thousands of other formats that we try that you're not mentioning, right? So it's all this experimentation that's happening behind the scenes that actually allows you to have 1 or 2 or 3 wins, which is crazy. Like you mentioned quizzes, but we did something called rewritable posts, which was like you could reorder something and then share it to your friend. They could reorder it so they could share their opinion on what that should actually be. But what really ended up taking off were quizzes, right? You know that now, but we did thousands of experiments behind the scenes leading up to that. That is so cool. So how did you go from being an intern for this company to being as successful as you are? I think that's so cool.
Thank you. So like very fortunate that things started going well at the company, but it was something I was so passionate about that I would work 24/7 on it to learn my craft and make it valuable and make myself valuable at the company and show that I was just so eager. Because obviously I had no background. I was fresh out of college. I just worked 24/7. And I also was able to really just raise my hand and take on opportunities that were so far out of my comfort zone, things I had no business touching or doing, that I just showed eagerness and interest in. And I think as someone in their early 20s, like seeing that level of interest and that level of drive to want to figure something out, people kind of gravitate towards that. So it's this executive John Steinberg, who later became my partner at Cheddar, he was brought on as the first president of the company, and he was a Google ad salesman, and he was really young. He was in his early 30s at that point in time. He'd never become the president of a company before. And what he had to do was nearly impossible. He had to basically create a new revenue stream that had never been done before, convincing companies that, advertising could be a part of advertising, which like now you're like, obviously, but that was not a thing before this. It was like display ads and TV commercials. So he had to come in and basically do the impossible with no experience doing that. And I raised my hand to help him and build out that entire unit. And I think he saw that and saw me and my ambition to be on the business side and how hard I worked, and decided that I was his protege in this world and we would do this together. And it's funny because we had a ton of success in advertising, but before advertising, we sold you're going to laugh. I've never said this on the podcast before, but we sold caffeinated beef jerky off the site. We sold buckyballs, which are now I think they're banned because if they get stuck to your intestines, you'll die. They're those little magnetic balls. So we sold all these weird yeah, we sold like all these weird things, like almost like we were creating like infomercials to sell these products, and we were making like 10 cents to the dollar off of them. But we were just experimenting with like, how do we make money? We created a partner network in which other content companies would pay us to have their content posted on our site. And that made a little bit of money, but it wasn't like the revenue that we needed to drive to make this business successful. And we ultimately had this impossible task of creating an entirely new market. And we did that together. And, I think it just took, for me, just like a level of naivety in the fact that I didn't understand how hard it would be. Because if I did, I would have been a little bit more cynical. And I think this kind of infinite look optimism into, okay, sure, why can't we do this? Really helped drive success of what ultimately ended up happening, because I didn't understand how impossible it actually would be, which is a good thing now that I look at it in hindsight.
That's incredible. Sometimes I do get a little cynical, so that's really good to hear, because I am young in the marketing field, and just hearing that is very hopeful.
Yeah, I think it's easy to be cynical, and I've been cynical, and then I'll stop myself and be like, why am I cynical about this? I've done impossible things so many times. I think that we are default cynical. It's easy to just be cynical, but I think optimism is what allows you to do the impossible.
Yeah, that's really very cool of you. I can't even come up with words. Usually my buzzword is incredible right now. I've been saying incredible a lot. I've been meeting a lot of incredible people through this podcast, and you're definitely one of them. So thank you so much. And that story is, just to be a part of a company like that in that time is so, that's a learning experience too.
It was this magical, romantic time. As hard as we worked, it was just unbelievable now that I look back and at the opportunities and the things that I did. And it was just, obviously it doesn't exist in that way anymore, especially in digital media. And I think like the romantic era of working at companies might be over, but it was a very special company and a very special time. And I think it's amazing that we've escaped digital media.
So you've worked on and led a number of creative teams. Do you have a favorite project that you've worked on?
A favorite project? Making a Super Bowl ad was really fun and cool. Very unique opportunity. I was lucky enough to be able to get that opportunity. And then, it's really funny because when you first get that opportunity and you're like, absolutely, of course I'll do that. Well, we want to make a Super Bowl ad. And then you start building what the framework and what it will actually take to build that. And you're like, oh my God, I am so in over my head. I had never done that before. And everything in every other parallel way leading up to what would be something that large. But, it's another one of those like unlimited optimism, because I had no idea what I was getting myself into, which sometimes it's great. Just throw yourself into the deep end. I think everything that went into our strategy, I just made a post about this on LinkedIn, like our strategy, our thoughtfulness, our creativity, our frugalness, that went into that campaign is what I'm most proud of. And the team, of course, was just like incredible that worked on every aspect of it. It takes an entire army to pull something like that off. So I don't want to take any credit because it's such a large group of people that contributed to it. But yeah, I think I'm most proud of that, mostly because of just like how many people needed to align on how many things in a short amount of time to get that done and pull it off successfully. And then also have it be successful and have it earn millions of impressions and have a ton of very positive sentiment around it and have it resonate with our customers. To do that, I think, is definitely like one of my most proud accomplishments, and also because of the team that I was able to work with on it.
Do you have any tips for marketers or creative teams working on their first sizable project like that?
A lot of things will go wrong. A lot of people will have a lot of opinions. So make sure that you are testing and doing as much and gathering as much user data, user evidence as you can throughout the process so that you can back up your gut, your intuition, because a lot of it is creativity. You can tie your marketing message to concepts and build a lot of those frameworks that history and understanding will work because of your experience and your background. But at the end of the day, having data to back that up is really important. And then the second part is understanding that things will go wrong and just not hyper focusing on like the blame game. It's like literally, let's fix it, let's figure it out, let's deal with it together, and rallying as like a group of people on the same project during that time is also more important than anything to get through it. It's just it's chaos, it's pure chaos. So being able to do that and also have data to back it up, I think are two very important points to understand when building something out, whether it's a global event. That too, we did a 60,000 person hybrid online and in-person event, and that took months to build and put on, and the amount of people and content that needed to be created, and the creativity and thoughtfulness, and I can't even, honestly, I would spend 3 hours doing it, like what something like that takes to put on. But it's the same mentality. Make sure you have data, make sure you are using, not to plug, but like I have to plug this, but like a project management system that can track everything and make sure that you have visibility high level into everything going on. I think honestly, working at ClickUp, doing it at ClickUp allowed us to not miss on many of the things that would have easily fallen through the cracks in a project that large, both on the Super Bowl, both on a global event, just in everything, in our everyday tasks, in a lot of the larger parts of the project, and managing outside guests and vendors and agencies or whoever we're working with. A lot of nuggets there, but yeah.
That's so, including those achievements, you've had so many throughout your career. Just looking at your LinkedIn page, I'm just baffled by the sheer just amazement.
You're making me blush, stop.
It's just, I just think it's so incredible to be able to do something like that, and I just admire it so much. I was wondering what, so the Super Bowl commercial is a huge accomplishment, obviously. What achievement that you've made throughout your life would you define yourself with if you had to pick one? Do you think that would be it?
Not that necessarily. I think it's not like a specific thing. It's more building amazing teams that I love working with, where we work together to do impossible things. I think like that kind of is the summary of what I've been able to achieve, is because we've had the best people doing it together. You know, at BuzzFeed, at Cheddar, at ClickUp, like that is the key to success. It's great people. So it's not like running a Super Bowl ad or creating an event, but it's the team and the framework and the organizational structure and group that you pair together that can do these things, and the unique skill sets that they all bring to the table. So I would say it's really doing that 3 times now. That's contributed to everything I've ever done. So I think that's the best skill set you can have as a leader, right? Like you can't do things without a team, and you can't do things well without the right team. So I would definitely say
that's really wholesome, and that's like that's so great to hear, because I feel like a lot of people define themselves by their own personal goals, which that is a goal.
Yeah.
You're still a leader, but that's also just it's really lovely to be able to rely on a group of people and to be able to curate who you involve yourselves with and the success that everyone took part in.
Yeah, so I have this like bizarre recurring dream, and I've had it for like years, and it's a wholesome dream, and it's so weird, and it like just like I think summarizes like my career. It's like I don't know where I am, but it's like either camp or like on a field, and we've just won this like big championship, and like it's me, and I'm going down the line and I'm high-fiving like everyone, and everyone is celebrating. Like literally, I have this dream all the time at different stages of my life, and I think that's like kind of what has always driven me. It's this like notion of team success and being with a group of people celebrating something impossible. Like to me, that is just like highest holy grail. It's like why, like, you know, the playoffs make me emotional when people like when in sports, because it's just like winning with a group of people, because it's so unique, the talent and the skill sets of those people involved to be able to get yourself to that place. I think is what truly makes it special.
That's so beautiful. I wish that I had dreams like that. I have a dream that like a great white shark came through my wall. Like in my bedroom, I don't have.
Don't manifest that into anything else.
That's amazing. Oh, that's a beautiful driver to just having a success dream, and like with people involved in your just can't even get over how sweet that is. So I talked about a lot of your past accomplishments, but what does your day-to-day look like now?
I don't think I've said this on any podcast yet, but I'm actually building my own company for the first time ever. I've never gone out on my own, and I've never built my own product fully. I've been a part of many founding teams, but not on my own. So my day-to-day now is building, designing, working with our tech team, developing our go-to-market, doing all these things that I've done. I've done them at base level, but not in the way that when it's just 3 people doing it. So it's very interesting. I'm growing a lot. I'm teaching myself a lot of new skills that I've never learned before, which is funny. But I'm like going back to basics on a lot of things. Like I'm working in Figma all the time, like designing UX UI, discussing like initial go-to-market strategies, discussing who our first customer should be, discussing like product at a very deep level. And I think it's making me like a better person, a better marketer, a better like holistic individual, which I really love. I think growth is like really important. And I think by teaching yourself something that ClickUp used to, our CEO would say grow 1% every day. Or I think like being a founder and having to do all these things that are scary because you've been at a level where you haven't had to do them hands-on like this in a while is certainly growth. So yeah, it's my day to day. I'm wearing like 1,000 hats and building something that I hope will be legacy.
That's amazing. Can you speak a little on what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm building a product that effectively turns brands into the biggest publisher in their space overnight. So we've built a product that basically encompasses billions of listening signals across the web and creates content that's contextually aligned to the people that they want to reach for need and their own brand authority and interest. So they can achieve authority, they can generate leads, and they can actually have domain and topical authority, no one in their space can do it at scale, but they're able to do it. So that is what I know.
That is so cool. And that's like, you have so much experience under your belt that it's amazing that you're able to make something like that.
Yeah, I think it's when you're thinking about, should I be a founder? Should I build a product? I think you have to think about what you are uniquely positioned to do based on your background and the problems that you've struggled with during your career. And if you're solving for those 2 things, you're in a good place to be able to be the person to solve that problem. So I think that's why I'm so excited, because it's something I've struggled with my entire career as a marketer. And also it's just so perfectly fitting for my background in media, in SaaS, and understanding kind of the inner workings of those types of companies. So yeah, it's an exciting next step in my journey for sure.
That's really cool. It's also really nice to see that you, even though you've accomplished so much, you're still trying to grow, not only in your career, but as a person. That's
always, yeah. I think like you never stop growing or you don't have to ever stop growing. And if you look, you look around and you see, I'm sure we've all talked to people that see themselves maxed out, right? And it's like, why? The best and the smartest and the most intelligent and emotionally intelligent and thoughtful people in the world are people that never stop growing. I definitely try to grow every day, every interaction, try to learn, try to be more self-aware, try to correct myself. Yeah, I definitely believe in that.
So you have a lot of engagement on LinkedIn, and I've seen a lot of your posts. I was really excited about the post that you made about Chapel Roan, and how you looked at, as like you took the lens of a marketer and take inspiration from successful stories like that. I thought it was super interesting because I think marketers sometimes have a narrow mind, and I think that isn't helping them grow as a person. And I like that you're looking in different fields and getting inspiration from that. Do you have someone in your mind that you have gotten most of your inspiration from? It doesn't have to be in like a marketing sense or anything like that.
It doesn't really work that way for me. And yeah, to talk about Chapel Roan on the marketing like podcast is pretty cool, right? But I think like I find like I want my world to encompass like everything in my life that I touch, right? Whether it be musicians, artists, books, songs, other companies, other leaders. Like it should be this very well-rounded world of how you are inspired and like what I'm inspired by. So people ask me this, I'm like, no, I'm just inspired by the world. I'll see something and then I'll become obsessed with it. Like I'm obsessed with like her rise to fame and like how it happened and why it happened and how quickly it happened. And also obviously she's incredible, but there's so many aspects of that I'm like really excited about. And I'm like, how can I apply this or share this with others? Because I think it is so inspirational. And to see that, what are the like, how do you dig deeper on that stuff and have takeaways that are inspiring to you? So I just like, I want the world to inspire me. And when it does, it's very exciting because I always try to find applications to everything that I'm working on, the way that I view the world, the way that I think about product, think about customers, any application that I can have. It's nice to be passionate about things and then try to find applications. So that's like my greatest inspiration. It's just like when I latch onto something, I become like so passionate about it.
That's really nice. I like to hear that you let the world inspire you and not just a specific field of something, because then you are constantly inspired because the world is constantly changing.
It's exactly. And it's hard if you're just looking like into this very narrow lens. The world is very small, but if you're like constantly inspired by everything, I mean, obviously travel inspires me a lot, like certain cultures, the Japanese philosophies and how they grow and look at life are very inspiring to me. I love Japan for many reasons, but their entire way of like, but their entire thought of growth and rebirth and focus and respect and just, there's like these 7 philosophies that are just like beautiful. So yeah, I think it's just like looking at the entire world because the world is so big and there's so much you can be inspired by. So I always look for that.
Have you been to Japan before?
Yes, many times. I love it so much. I was lucky enough to build a team there at BuzzFeed, which is a crazy experience. Building a team in Japan is not. Yeah, it was amazing. It was truly amazing. So yeah, I feel very lucky that I was able to have that experience, and then I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with just so many things about it, and I've been back multiple times since.
It's at the top of my list to travel.
Yes,
all along with Thailand. I really want to go to Thailand.
Yeah, you have to go. You have to.
I genuinely don't have any more questions for you. I feel like I learned so much, and you're very inspiring. I feel like it's effortlessly inspiring. It's really lovely to be able to talk to you today. You're just a very wholesome person.
It's so nice. Thank you. I don't know if I've ever been called a wholesome person, but thank you. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think like I try to just be a great person. And I think that has always guided me throughout like being the person, the people that you're working around, that you need, that you manage up to, and the world will get back.
That's a really great outlook. I think sometimes being in the business world, it's hard to be able to be a very positive person sometimes. And
yeah,
it's really great to hear from someone who has a good outlook on it, because I don't know, I always get scared that I'm gonna get 10 years down the road and I'm going to be more pessimistic, and I don't ever want to see that.
Yeah, try not to ever have that viewpoint, because there's so much opportunity everywhere.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I loved learning about your outlook on life and marketing, and I am really thankful for this conversation.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And for the audience at home, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to hear from successful and amazing people. Melissa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.